In the early 1970s, British Leyland was a colossal automotive empire. It was the fourth largest car manufacturer on the planet, commanding legendary brands like Jaguar, Rover, Triumph, and Austin. They had the money, the heritage, and the global market. But behind the factory doors, absolute chaos reigned. Crippled by endless worker strikes, massive corporate arrogance, and devastating cost-cutting, this empire began producing some of the most catastrophic engineering failures the world had ever seen. Today, we are counting down the 10 worst British Leyland cars. We will uncover the shocking mechanical flaws and the exact financial disasters that completely bankrupted a national institution. Number 1 is the ultimate symbol of failure. Let's begin. Number 10, 1980 Morris Ital. We begin with the 1980 Morris Ital. It featured a basic 1.3-litre engine, an outdated live rear axle, and delivered a mediocre fuel economy of about 12 kilometers per litre. By 1980, British Leyland was severely bleeding money and needed a brand new family car. Instead of spending money on actual research and development, they took the already terrible 1970s Morris Marina, paid an Italian design studio to slightly change the headlights, and released it as a new car. They priced it aggressively to capture the fleet market, managing to sell around 175,000 units strictly because it was cheap. However, the public quickly realized it was a total deception. The Ital carried over all the catastrophic suspension and rusting issues of the old Marina. It handled terribly and had absolutely zero crash protection. As the truth emerged, its resale value plummeted instantly. Dealerships were stuck with thousands of unsold models, and the Morris brand name was so deeply ruined by this lazy, cost-cutting disaster that British Leyland permanently killed off the Morris badge shortly after. Next is the 1967 Austin 3-litre. This massive vehicle featured a heavy 2.9-litre inline-six engine, a huge 70-litre fuel tank, and an absolutely abysmal fuel economy of just 6 kilometers per litre. British Leyland designed this car to be a premium, high-profit executive saloon to compete with luxury brands. They invested heavily in self-leveling hydroelastic suspension and luxurious interiors, setting a very high retail price. They expected government officials and wealthy businessmen to buy them in massive numbers, projecting a huge profit margin. The result was one of the biggest commercial flops in automotive history. To save design costs, the front doors and central body panels were taken directly from the much cheaper Austin 1800 family car. Wealthy buyers refused to pay a luxury price for a car that looked exactly like a cheap taxi. The heavy engine made the car incredibly sluggish, and the complex suspension leaked constantly. Only 9,900 units were ever sold. The project lost millions of pounds, leaving the luxury division in severe debt. At number 8 is the 1969 Austin Maxi. It was equipped with a 1.5-litre engine, a 50-litre fuel tank, and delivered roughly 12 kilometers per litre. On paper, the Maxi was revolutionary. It was Britain's first 5-door hatchback and featured a highly ambitious 5-speed manual gearbox. British Leyland marketed it as the ultimate, practical family car. Initial sales were somewhat promising as families bought into the idea of extra space and the fuel-saving fifth gear, bringing early cash flow into the factories. But the engineering was deeply flawed. That revolutionary 5-speed gearbox was operated by a cheap cable linkage. Mechanics notoriously described shifting gears in a Maxi as stirring a bowl of pudding. Drivers would constantly select the wrong gear or grind the transmission to pieces. Furthermore, the steering was incredibly heavy, making it exhausting to park. The warranty claims for shattered gearboxes wiped out the profit margins, and its reputation as a difficult, frustrating car destroyed its long-term sales potential. Number 7 is the 1975 Princess. This striking car featured a 1.8-litre or 2.2-litre engine, delivering an average of 9 kilometers per litre. The Princess featured a futuristic, aerodynamic wedge shape that looked incredibly modern. It was highly anticipated, and British Leyland heavily hyped its launch. Dealerships saw a massive initial rush of buyers, and the company successfully sold around 225,000 units over its lifespan, expecting the Princess to secure their dominance in the mid-size corporate market. The reality was a complete nightmare. Despite looking exactly like a hatchback, it was actually a traditional saloon with a tiny boot opening, enraging practical buyers. Mechanically, the transverse engine alignment caused severe driveshaft vibrations that shook the entire cabin at highway speeds. Worse still, the factory assembly was so poor that rain would actively leak through the windshield seals directly onto the driver's lap. The used market completely rejected the Princess, and its resale value dropped to almost zero within 3 years. Number 6, 1974 MGB Rubber Bumper Edition. It utilized a 1.8-liter engine, a 45-liter fuel tank, and provided roughly 9 kilometers per liter. The original 1960s MGB was a global legend, generating massive export profits, especially in America. But by 1974, strict new US safety and emissions laws were introduced. Instead of designing a new sports car, British Leyland took the cheapest, most destructive route possible. To meet headlight height regulations, they simply raised the car's suspension by 1.5 inches. To meet crash laws, they bolted on heavy, ugly black polyurethane bumpers. This lazy engineering completely destroyed the car. The raised suspension ruined the MGB's famous handling, turning a nimble sports car into a dangerously unstable vehicle around corners. The heavy bumpers slowed it down, and the newly restricted engine choked the horsepower. Sports car enthusiasts were disgusted. Sales in the highly profitable American market crashed overnight. British Leyland's refusal to innovate officially killed the global reputation of the British sports car. If you are enjoying this deep dive into classic automotive history and the dark secrets behind these famous brands, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We bring you the untold stories of automotive triumphs and massive disasters every single week. Now, let's get back to the countdown. At number 5 is the 1974 Triumph TR7. It featured a 2.0-liter 4-cylinder engine, a 55-liter tank, and managed around 10 kilometers per liter. Marketed aggressively as the shape of things to come, the TR7 was supposed to be British Leyland's modern, high-volume sports car. The bold, wedge-shaped design generated massive pre-orders. The company projected it to be a global bestseller, relying heavily on the TR7 to save their struggling sports car division. They managed to sell over 115,000 units. However, the TR7 was built in the infamous Speak factory in Liverpool, a facility paralyzed by militant worker strikes. The build quality was historically catastrophic. Angry workers actively sabotaged the cars on the assembly line. The signature pop-up headlights frequently failed, leaving drivers blind at night. Engines blew head gaskets within the first 10,000 miles, and the roofs leaked terribly. The warranty payouts were so astronomically high that British Leyland was forced to completely shut down the Speak factory, losing millions in the process. Number 4 is the flagship 1976 Rover SD1. It housed a massive 3.5-liter V8 engine, a 65-liter tank, and burned fuel at a painful rate of 8 kilometers per liter. This was British Leyland's ultimate luxury weapon. Styled to look like a Ferrari Daytona, it won the European Car of the Year award. Showrooms were flooded with wealthy executives wanting the prestige of a British V8 super saloon. British Leyland charged a massive premium for it, and the initial cash injection was huge for the company. But beneath the stunning design was a manufacturing disaster. The electrical systems were supplied by Lucas, famously known as the Prince of Darkness. The digital dashboards would catch fire, the electric windows would jam in the rain, and the exterior paint would literally peel off in large sheets while the car was sitting in the showroom. The doors were fitted so poorly that you could fit your fingers through the panel gaps. The SD1 destroyed Rover's reputation for reliability, completely handing the luxury market over to BMW and Mercedes. Number 3 is the beautiful but deadly 1970 Triumph Stag. It featured a bespoke 3.0-liter V8 engine, a 63-liter tank, and delivered roughly 7 kilometers per liter. The Stag was designed to be a highly profitable, premium grand tourer for the rich and famous. It looked gorgeous and sounded incredible. Because of its luxury status, British Leyland set a high retail price. About 25,000 units were sold, mostly to wealthy buyers who expected absolute mechanical perfection. Instead, they received an engine that essentially destroyed itself. To save money, British Leyland's engineers used cheap manufacturing techniques for the V8 engine block. The water pump was mounted too high, meaning if the coolant level dropped even slightly, the pump would run dry. This caused the engine to rapidly overheat, warp the aluminum cylinder heads, and snap the timing chains. Engines exploded at highway speeds, leaving owners stranded. The cost of replacing thousands of V8 engines under warranty was a financial black hole that British Leyland never recovered from. Just missing the top spot is the 1971 Morris Marina. It came with engines ranging from 1.3 to 1.8 litres, giving around 11 kilometers per litre. This car was designed with one strict corporate mandate: be as cheap as mathematically possible to build. British Leyland desperately needed a high-volume fleet car to compete with Ford. To cut costs, they literally dug through their parts bin and used the front suspension design from the 1948 Morris Marina. It was a massive commercial success at first, selling over 1 million units to budget-conscious families and corporate fleets, generating huge immediate revenue. However, the cost-cutting was fatal. Because of that ancient 1948 suspension, the Marina suffered from terrifying understeer. If a driver took a corner too fast, the car would simply plow straight ahead into a ditch. Instead of fixing the expensive suspension geometry, British Leyland's cheap solution was to bolt heavy cast iron weights into the front bumper to force the wheels down. Mechanics laughed at it. It rusted incredibly fast, fell apart over bumps, and became universally recognized as the most miserable, poorly engineered driving experience in Britain. Finally, the absolute worst British Leyland car ever created, the 1973 Austin Allegro. It featured engines up to 1.7 litres and delivered around 13 kilometers per litre. Designed to be the car that saved the empire, British Leyland poured vast amounts of money into its development. They sold over 640,000 units, targeting middle-class families. But the Allegro was a rolling catastrophe. In a bizarre marketing move, they fitted it with a quartic steering wheel, a wheel that was square, making it incredibly awkward to steer. But the engineering failures were genuinely shocking. The chassis was incredibly weak. If a mechanic jacked up the car incorrectly, the body would flex so severely that the rear windshield would pop out and shatter on the floor. The front wheel hub bearings were severely under-engineered, leading to several documented cases where the front wheels literally fell off while people were driving. Furthermore, its aerodynamic shape was so poorly designed that it actually generated lift when driven in reverse. The Allegro became a massive national joke, completely destroying consumer trust. The devastating failure of the Allegro, combined with endless strikes, sealed the fate of British Leyland, bankrupting the empire and marking the darkest chapter in British automotive history. Why these cars were special? These 10 cars represent a highly dramatic era in engineering history. They were born from an empire desperately fighting to survive against massive internal chaos, carrying the pride of decades of British craftsmanship. However, corporate arrogance, devastating cost-cutting, and a refusal to properly test their machines sealed their fate. British Leyland chased the profitable family and luxury markets but released vehicles that were fragile, flawed, and genuinely dangerous. Today, classic car enthusiasts love restoring these specific models to fix those original engineering mistakes. But back in the 1970s, they proved a harsh lesson: a famous badge means absolutely nothing if the vehicle falls apart underneath you.